Okay, I guess maybe we'll circle back. Joseph Gregory. Did Joseph Gregory or not here?
Joseph Gregory's on the phone as well. Joseph, are you muted?
Okay, Thomas.
All right, they might.
Hello?
Joseph Gregory, Shamanda Graham.
Hello?
Hi.
I am here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Can you
Hello?
hear me, Peter?
Yes, can hear you now.
You can hear me,
guys hear
Shamanda?
me?
Okay, so I'm so sorry, guys. I have been trying to ask a question the entire time, but you couldn't hear me. I vote yes, but I was curious and did want to know, has there ever been a time where the task of doing all three has become overwhelming, or is this just an administrative nuance? Because I guess,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Shamanda.
you know, just from my perspective, for one person to carry so many titles just seems a bit much. But I've been here for the history of the title. So I recall when the other commissioners carried the title, and to me, it did just seem like because the rule says you need one, you needed someone to have that title to sign off. But has there ever been a situation where now you have to actively do a lot more than that? I'm just thinking about being overwhelmed with so much.
No, that's basically almost at this point, because we have a commissioner, it's basically a ceremonial title. It's something, it's a carryover that's still in our rules, so we want to have it in the event of litigation. Make sure we appoint someone, but at this point, it's a ceremonial thing. And the tribunal basically does that work, receives the applications, determines the applications, and processes the work.
Okay. Yes, and one last thing, because I do recall this coming up before, when an executive director was appointed. If I recall correctly, the rules do allow the executive director to designate, to have designees.
Yes.
So I think I get it. Basically, as long as you have the executive director in place, then that director can designate other folks to do things if it becomes a need to actually physically do a whole bunch of stuff. But in any event, I vote yes. Well, I vote yes. Congrats to the added title.
Thank you, I guess.
You guys hear me? This is Joseph Gregory. Okay, I vote yes.
Okay, Thomas Spetner.
I'm going to vote yes and add my congratulations, but we've been amending penalty schedules for years, and the fact that this fell down the order of priority by a factor of many months at a minimum shows that this consolidation really needs to be a point of introspection, because I don't think we did it effectively. This is new information. I accept that we didn't do anything ultra virus, but I'm very concerned that we've been wasting all this time moving penalty schedules around, really just pushing pieces of rules from one ledger to another, and something about our organizational structure just went unexamined. It's sort of an embarrassing thing, I think. Also, we can load votes into WebEx into polls, or put this into chats so people like Shamanda don't get stranded on the phone. We need to harness this technology a little bit. I'm out, but I do vote yes, and congratulations.
Thanks. And then Elizabeth Knauer.
Silent K, yeah. Yeah, I vote aye.
Okay, so we've got unanimous approval.
And I vote aye. Please include me on the votes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now we've got extra unanimous approval.
Okay, thank you. I would like Nicholas Dietz to present on OECB proposed rule which is a proposed repeal of the Hudson River Park Trust penalty schedule.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. I'm Nicholas Dietz. I'm an assistant general counsel at Oath. And so today we're proposing a rule to repeal Oath's Hudson River Park Trust penalty schedule. And I'm going to refer to that as HRPT because it's a mouthful. And so this is for violations that occur at Hudson River Park. Just as a quick background, HRPT is a hybrid state city agency that controls Hudson River Park, which is a strip of land on the west side that runs from Riverside Park down to Battery Park. Now, it's independent of the Parks Department, but works very closely with it. So Oath is proposing to repeal HRPT's penalty schedule. Oath's HRPT penalty schedule because the Hudson River Park Trust is in the process of promulgating its own penalty schedule. So then in the future, it'll be HRPT rather than Oath that sets the penalties for HRPT violations. Any questions?
Yeah, Jorge Martinez, just for my background, are there any any city regulations that would apply to HRTP?
Basically they overlap for the most part with the many of the Parks Department rules, but they mostly are cited for the New York State Code of Rules and Regulations. So even though they're virtually identical rules, they're under the rubric of state rules, if that makes sense.
Are those in the administrative code?
No, they're in the New York Code of Rules and Regulations. It's the state rules. Like city rules are RCNY, state rules are NYCRR. So their rules are, because they're basically more a state entity than they are a city entity. In fact, they do their rulemaking through SAPA and not through CAPA, the way we do.
Okay.
Any other?
I'm going to have to recuse myself from this vote, I think, because I have represented HRPT a lot in the past. But I just wanted to clarify that they really are a state agency. The parkland that they administer is partially city owned, but they are a state public benefit corporation.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Okay. Anyone else? I'm going to ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Are there any no votes or abstentions?
I'm abstaining. This is Elizabeth.
Gotcha.
Douglas Swan, I have a no vote.
Someone's a no vote?
Could we do a roll call for the voting? It just might be easier.
Okay. Joni Kletter.
Aye.
Okay. Matthew Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Jorge Martinez.
Yes.
Yes.
Douglas Swan.
No.
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 Jared Whittington.
Yes.
Russ Pecunis.
Yes.
Shamanda Graham.
Yes.
Joseph Gregory.
Yes.
Thomas Spetner.
No.
And then Elizabeth Nauer was recusing. So I've got 2 no votes and 1 recusal and 8 yes votes. So 8 yes, 2 no's, 1 recusal. Oh, not sure who I missed. Should I read the names again? Or,
Yeah, why don't you try that? Just read out the names.
okay, Joni Kletter, Matthew Smith, Jorge Martinez, Madeline Liguri, Douglas Swan, Jared Whittington, Russell Pecunis, Shamanda Graham, Joseph Gregory, Thomas Spetner, Elizabeth Nauer.
Okay, maybe, all right, maybe that's, sorry, my mistake.
Okay.
Excuse me, I put this in the chat, but I don't know how effectively we're using it. Do we know how many more penalty schedules we're going to be moving? I mean, we seem to be doing this in perpetuity. There seems to be a finite number of them.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for years, and it's getting a bit bureaucratically. It does. I don't understand, why it hasn't happened. Further to my, comment about the executive director title, it seems like we had no idea what we were doing when all these changes were made. It creates an impression of that anyway.
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. Oath has taken the position that it is a tribunal and it doesn't impose or set penalties. And it started a few years ago on a trajectory of eliminating the penalty schedules and giving them to the agencies that are responsible for determining the value and the penalties. So, and
that's not the premise of my question, Olga. I appreciate what you're saying, but there's just a finite number of these penalty schedules. How can we keep discovering them and moving them every meeting for a couple of years?
Because it's the nature of the rulemaking process. It takes about 90 days to 4 months or so to even get through the process. And it's even more complicated now that we don't have monthly ECB meetings. So now that everything is every 2 months, everything has to be pushed over. So a thing that would normally, for example, if we're going to do the soup to nuts, it should take about 10 days to come up with everything. But we have posting obligations, hearing obligations, certification obligations with the law department, certification obligations with the mayor's office. We have to publish, we have to take in. So it's a drama.
Are you suggesting, Olga, I don't want to misinterpret this, but are you suggesting that they have to be done consecutively and can't be done concurrently?
We have to speak with, basically, it's an agency by agency thing. We can't, so we go to sanitation, or we go to buildings, or we work agency by
but
agency.
there's only so many penalty schedules available to us.
You have about 3 or 4 more. I don't think anyone will die. I think, we should be done. Not
do them on mass.
No, for example, we're working on something with sanitation now, which is a heftier lift than anything we would work on with BIC, for example. BIC would take 5 seconds. You call them and you fix it.
I just, we devote so much resource to this, and it's been underfoot for a couple of years.
But I mean, listen, most of them are done. We have fewer than 5. I don't remember the exact number, but we have fewer than 5 left.
If you could get us a number, that would be great, Olga. If you could let us know how many are left, that would be really helpful. But it sounds like we're almost done. So
yeah, we are almost done.
I mean,
yeah.
That's good. Almost done is good.
Okay.
So
we'll move on. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So we had 8 in favor of the repeal, 2 opposed, and 1 recusal.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Nick to introduce ECB's final rule granting access to financial hardship waivers for respondents facing restitution penalties.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So, right. So this was this is the final, this is moving for final approval of the rule that was presented at the April 30th ECB meeting. And some may recall that would allow respondents who are appealing restitution orders to apply for financial hardship waivers. And under current oath rules, this is only permitted for respondents appealing monetary penalties or fines. The proposed rule had been unanimously approved by the board at the April 30th meeting. The rule was then published in the city record on May 8th, 2020. A public hearing was held via WebEx just on June 9th, but we did not receive any public comment. The final rule has been reviewed and certified by the New York City Law Department, and the final rule has not been altered in any way from the proposed rule that the board approved on at the April 30th meeting. So, are there any questions? Okay.
So I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I guess I'll read through.
Motion.
Thank you.
Should I read through the? Okay.
Oh,
So Joni Kletter.
yes.
Yes. Okay. Matthew Smith.
Yes.
Jorge Martinez.
Yes.
Madeline Liguri.
Yes.
Douglas Swan.
Yes.
Jared Whittington.
Yes.
Russell Pecunis. I think you're muted. Russ, you're muted.
I think his audio disconnected. Russ, if you want to raise your hand for a yes. Or chat.
Maybe we'll get back to him.
Yeah, I'll send him a chat.
Okay. Shamanda Graham.
I vote yes.
Joseph Gregory.
Yes.
Thomas Bettner.
Yes.
Elizabeth Nauer.
Yes.
Thanks. Do we have Russ Pecunis back on? Okay, I'm not sure how to.
Oh, good. You were muted.
Oh, sorry. Russ, can you hear me? Why don't you raise your hand? We can count that. Can you?
I don't know if you can hear us.
I don't think he can hear us.
I sent him a chat, so hopefully he'll respond to that.
Okay. Well, pending his vote,
Hi, Russ.
you vote in favor of the final rule on financial hardship waivers. Hello? I think you lost him again. Yes. Hi.
Hello, this is Russ.
Hi, Russ. Do you vote in favor of the final rule?
I think.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. My cell phone rang and I got disconnected.
Okay. So this was just to finalize the proposed rule that we had presented at the April 30th meeting regarding financial hardship waivers. So the wording is exactly the same. So that was a yes vote. Maybe we'll try again later, or because currently we have unanimous in favor.
How many do we have? How many people have voted unanimously?
4, 5, 6, 10 votes in favor, and then.
I mean, it would be great if Russ could vote, but I think we're safe in terms of having performed the action.
So I guess that would be it.
Yeah. Consider it adopted.
Commissioner, I think we can move to the next item.
Okay, we got his vote or we didn't?
So far, no, but we have enough votes to pass. We got 11, 10 in favor.
Yeah, I'm,
Yes.
Now we can.
So do you?
Say yes or no, Russ? Yeah, we can hear you.
I hear you. Seems to be buffering.
I'm gonna have Peter just call his cell and have it, put it on speaker if we can.
Okay. So should we?
Well, we have enough votes to have this. We'll just wait for, and Russ can add his vote after.
Okay.
We're pretty safe.
So I'm gonna ask Kelly Corso to introduce DEP's request for pre-sealing reports.
Good morning. This is Kelly Corso, Assistant Commissioner for Adjudications for the Hearings Division. And we have 15 pre-sealing reports today for the board. They're all backflow cases. In all of the reports, the hearing officers are recommending that there be no further action because the respondents provided evidence of compliance at the hearings. So the recommendation is no further action for all pre-sealing reports.
Any questions?
Okay, so
Yeah, motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you. Let's call for a vote.
okay, Joni Kletter,
Yes.
yes. Jorge Martinez, Madeline Liguri,
Yes.
Douglas Swan,
Yes.
Jared Whittington,
Yes.
Russell Kukunis, and okay, maybe we'll come back. Shamanda Graham,
I vote yes.
okay. Joseph Gregory,
Yes.
Thomas Spetner, Elizabeth Nauer,
Yes.
okay, so again, Russell, can you hear us? Okay, yes. Do you vote yes? Can you raise your hand if you're voting yes on this? Okay. So I guess we'll have to circle back. So we have again 10 votes in favor, and then we'll wait on Russ's vote. So that's enough to approve.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters listed in the judicial report.
Motion.
Thank you. I'm going to ask in public session. And we have determined that we are holding this decision in abeyance, and it will be discussed again at our next board meeting. The date of the next board meeting is August 20th. Are there any other comments before we adjourn? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. All right. Adjourning. Thank you all.
Be well, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.